Scottish football bosses are facing calls to resign after thousands of fans faced travel chaos because the game's governing body were set to sue each other over plans to move a cup semi-final away from Hampden. Rangers were scheduled to play Aberdeen at 12 p.m, with Celtic due to face Hearts later in the day at 7:45 p.m. on October in a move widely condemned by fans, the clubs themselves and politicians. Scotrail revealed they had not been consulted over the decision after fans pointed out that the first train from Aberdeen to Glasgow on game day did not arrive until 15 minutes after kick-off. Hearts fans also faced missing the last train back to Edinburgh after their match. Hearts manager and director of football Craig Levin said the decision was the craziest thing I've ever experienced in football, just madness, doesn't compute, defies any sort of logic, and is farcical. But now the Celtic v Hearts League Cup semi-final is likely to be played at Murrayfield after the SPFL was released from its contract to host both matches at Hampden by the SFA. Critics last night said the contract dispute had turned Scottish football into a laughingstock. Labour MP and Hearts fan Ian Murray said, "This whole situation brings the whole of Scottish football into disrepute. It has become a laughingstock. Both the SFA and SPFL must take a long hard look at themselves and wonder whether they are the best people to be in charge of the game. They are the custodians of the game and should always put fans first rather than threaten each other with legal action." But SPFL Chief Executive Neil Doncaster said, "This is clearly extremely welcome news. After the draw, we spoke to Hampden Park Limited to ask whether they would release us from a contractual obligation to host all semi-finals involving the old firm at Hampden. They declined our request and we were unwilling to breach this contract and risk legal action. However, I'm pleased to report that we have been contacted this morning by SFA Chief Executive Ian Maxwell, who said that Hampden Park Limited has now reconsidered that position and have agreed to waive that legal obligation. This has enabled us to open talks to explore whether the match could be staged at an alternative venue in the timescales available. The move to have both matches on the same day, with 100,000 fans of the clubs in Glasgow, were condemned by rank-and-file police officers as idiotic. Scottish Police Federation's General Secretary Callum Steele said, "Even if there was nothing else on that date, the police service is going to be run ragged. The one word that describes it best is just simply idiotic." The issue was raised at Holyrood yesterday and Assistant Chief Constable Bernie Higgins also demanded a rethink amid widespread anger across the country. He said, "I think it's sensible to discuss the issues raised with the SPFL and other stakeholders, and I have asked the SPFL to look again at the transport plan so we can make a full public safety assessment." Initially, the two ties were scheduled for October 27 and 28, but tournament organisers were forced into a rethink, as Rangers and Celtic are in Europa League action on the Thursday before the semi-finals. Labour MSP James Kelly said, "I welcome the fact that the SPFL are now looking again at the matter. Regardless of contract obligations, crowd safety must be paramount and they should never allow a situation where two are scheduled to take place at the same venue on the same day." SNP MSP James Dornan, whose constituency includes Hampden, accused the SPFL of a disregard for football fans and public services, and also called for a revamp of the way Scottish football is governed. Sport Minister Joe Fitzpatrick said the Scottish Government recognised there was widespread anger over the decision. He said, "The Scottish Government, Transport Scotland and Scotrail were not consulted ahead of the SPFL announcement, though we have discussed this issue with all key organisations, including Scotrail and Police Scotland.